Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Once again,
सर
today we're
स्क्रीन
uh,
शेयर भएन
uh,
स्क्रीन शेयर भएन
भयो होला अब भयो होला
अब भयो
oh, okay, so uh, so today we are going to continue the third day work of our acid base and salt, and that is the last day of this chapter. And after then we'll move to the new chapter, that is human nervous and glandular system belonging to biology. Okay, let me to first finish some more chapter from physics, chemistry and biology, then only we'll start uh, astronomy and geology. Okay, so next class will be in biology, that is human nervous and glandular system, or we can say the second chapter of biology. Okay, so please prepare accordingly all the thing. Your midterm examination, I think if no problem, then it will be taking place on the, I think in the next month, we can say. Okay, so let's leave that according to calendar. Okay, so today salt, as we have already learned about different methods of preparation of salt, so we know many more things related to salt. Okay, so in that case, that's then how can we define salt? Then salt, that is the substance formed by partial or complete replacement of H plus ion from an acid or OH minus ion from a base, is called salt. Actually, it is formed by different method, but it is the combination of acid and base mainly. Okay, by the combination of acid and base mainly, though there are other methods too to prepare salt. Okay, so salt, I want to repeat it. When there is combination between acid and base, we have learned acid base reaction, then salt and water form. One is that. Another, by partial or complete replacement of H plus ion from an acid or OH minus ion from a base. For example, we'll discuss about this a bit later. So there are three types of salts. They are discussed below. One is neutral salt. Neutral salt, that salt is formed by the combination of strong acid and strong base, or weak acid and weak base. That is one definition of neutral salt. The salt formed by the combination of strong acid and strong base. Hello. Who are you? Okay, so weak acid and weak base. By the combination of weak acid and weak base also, we'll get the neutral salt. Okay, or we can say the salt formed by complete replacement of H plus ion from an acid or OH minus ion from a base. Okay, so now let's look at the example. NaCl, CaOSO4, these all are, we can say, neutrals. No, we cannot. These all are neutral salts. So how they are formed? Okay, number one, NaCl. If you see here, NaCl, it is the salt formed by the combination of maybe sodium and chloride also, but it is the combination of acidic radical and basic radical, like sodium. That sodium NaOH. Okay, so NaOH, that is alkali, and that is a strong alkali. Keep it in mind. Sodium, magnesium, potassium, and calcium hydroxide. Okay, hydroxides of sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, they are strong alkali. Okay, and hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, and nitric acid, they are strong acids. Okay, so I want to repeat it. HCl, H2SO4, HNO3, that is a strong acid. Then calcium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, and sodium hydroxide, they are strong alkali. Okay, in the same way, weak acid, formic acid, then acetic acid, and carbonic acid, they are weak acid. Okay, so we have to keep it in mind. And the rest, we can say, except these four alkali, sodium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, and calcium hydroxide. Rest alkali are weak alkali. So on the basis of this, you can categorize. For example, calcium sulfate. So if you see here calcium sulfate is the combination of calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide, as I told you, a strong alkali, and H2SO4. H2SO4, that is sulfuric acid, and sulfuric acid is a strong acid. So strong acid and strong base form neutral salt. About weak acid and weak base, I'll show you the example later. Okay, I have not mentioned here, that's why. Now, next one, acidic salt. So acidic salt, it means the salt which contains some acidic radical, means H plus H plus should be there, no acidic radical, that means H should be there for acid. So it may be formed by partial replacement of H plus ion from an acid. Listen here, if complete replacement of H plus ion from an acid, then neutral salt. If partial replacement of H plus ion, H plus ion, partial replacement of H plus ion, then it will be acidic salt. And it is formed by the combination of strong acid and weak base. Acidic salt, strong acid and weak base. So if you see here the example, strong acid and weak base. So ferric nitrate. So this is formed by ferric hydroxide and HNO3, nitric acid. And as I have already discussed, ferric hydroxide, these are the alkali except sodium, magnesium, calcium, and potassium hydroxide. So this is a weak alkali, ferric hydroxide. Ferric hydroxide is a weak alkali, and AHSO4. This is formed, though, listen here, this is formed by sodium and sodium hydroxide and sulfuric acid. Actually, they are the strong base and a strong acid. But this is an acidic salt because here acid salt is formed by partial replacement of hydrogen ion from acid. H2SO4 water, partial replacement by H baki cha. So this is acidic salt. NH4Cl. So in case of NH4Cl, NH4OH, NH4OH, that is weak alkali, and HCl, strong acid. So such salt is the acidic salt. Sorry, okay, strong acid and weak alkali, the salt will be acidic salt. After that, basic salt, the salt from just opposite of acidic salt, the salt formed by the partial replacement of OH minus ion from a base is called basic salt. Or it is formed by the combination of weak acid. So we can select any of the acid, weak acid, and any strong base. Okay, so any strong base. For example, you can see here Na2CO3. So this Na2CO3, this is the combination of NaOH. NaOH, strong base. H2CO3. H2CO3, that is weak acid. So strong base and weak acid, the salt will be basic salt. In the same way, sodium acetate. Sodium acetate, this is formed by sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide, as we have already discussed, this is a strong alkali, and acetic acid. Acetic acid, that is a weak acid, and that's why the salt form is by the combination of strong base and weak acid. That's why this is basic salt. Okay, so I think you don't have any confusion up to here, or if you have, then you can ask. I want to repeat it: strong acid, strong base, acidic, okay, neutral salt; weak acid, weak base, neutral salt; strong acid, weak base, acidic salt; strong base, weak acid, basic salt. Okay. Next, I want to repeat it to how to identify whether this is a strong or weak. Though we have learned strong acid, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid; weak acid, carbonic acid, acetic acid, and formic acid; strong alkali, sodium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, and potassium hydroxide; and rest of the alkali you can select as weak alkali. Okay. Now, radical, acidic and basic radical. Though I have already discussed about this, the radical which is derived from acid, acidic radical; the acid which is derived from a base, that is basic radical. So if you see here, HCl, from HCl, Cl is derived. So this is from HCl, so HCl is acid, so Cl is acidic radical. SO4, this SO4 minus, that is from sulfuric acid. So SO4 minus is a acidic radical. In the same way, sodium hydroxide, this sodium is derived from sodium hydroxide. So sodium is a basic radical. Mg plus MgOH whole to beta, this Mg is derived. Okay, so Mg is derived from MgOH equal to from a base, and so Mg is a basic radical. Basic radical, that is called metallic radical, obviously because it contains metals. And chlorine, sulfate, oxygen, these all are non-metal, so that is called metallic radical too. Okay, now we are moving to hydrated salt. Hydrated means hydro means water. So if salt containing certain amount or certain molecules of water, then it is called hydrated salt. That can be means make pure by removing water molecule. So this is hydrated salt. So if you see here, sodium carbonate 10 molecule of water, copper sulfate 5 molecule of water, calcium sulfate 2 molecule of water. These are the example of some hydrated salts. Okay. Hey, Sujit, this is not your proper name of writing Sujit like that way. Hey, write the complete name. Characteristic of salt. So in case of that, some characteristic of salt. For example, some salts are tasteless, whereas most of them are bitter in taste. Okay, NaCl is salty in taste. Okay, next one. Most of the salts are soluble in water. They get electrolyzed in solution form, except lead chloride, silver chloride, lead sulfate, and barium sulfate. Means lead chloride, lead sulfate, silver chloride, barium sulfate. These do not decompose into ions when dissolved in water. So, except these other salts are soluble in water. Next one. Uh, I have already introduced. So, next one. Salts of sodium, ammonium, and potassium are soluble in water. Any type, sodium chloride, sodium hydroxide, sorry, so sodium chloride, ammonium chloride, potassium chloride, sodium sulfate, potassium sulfate, no, ammonium sulfate, sodium nitrate, ammonium nitrate, potassium nitrate. These are soluble in water. Okay, not only that, bicarbonates are also soluble in water. Okay, but silver chloride, lead chloride, lead sulfate, and barium sulfate, they are insoluble in water. After then, so I think these things you can just go through once, you can remember. And after that, salts of sodium, magnesium, aluminum, potassium, calcium. These all are barium. These all are S and P block elements, metals. So S and P block metals, they are colorless. Means salts formed by these metals: sodium chloride, magnesium chloride, aluminum sulfate, potassium carbonate, calcium carbonate, barium sulfate, whatever you are saying. So these all are colorless, but salts of chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, these all are D block elements, and these element metals have the salts which is colorful. Means chromium sulfate, manganese sulfate, or ferric chloride, these salts are colorful. After then, uh, methods for methods. Uh, I do not require to explain these things because we have already discussed about all the things. So if you see here the method of preparation of salt, one is by the direct combination of some metals and non-metals. So if you see here Na and Cl, Na and Cl2, that gives you NaCl. We have already learned about this in the combination reaction, CaCl2, FeCl2. In place of Cl2, you can take bromide, iodide, no problem. You can take anyone, but most common is chloride. That's why I've taken chloride. You can take here NaBr2, CaBr2, FeClBr2, NaF2, CaF2, FeF2. So you can, according to that, you can form the compound. After that, by the action of acid on some metals. So if we treat metals by acid, dilute acid, it gives you salt. You know that. So when aluminum reacts with sulfuric acid, this aluminum sulfate and hydrogen gas. When metal, so when acid is treated about metal, then it will give you hydrogen gas. So you all are well known about this alkali, or we can say base. So here is a base, and next one is alkali. So if you react acid with base, it will give you salt and water. You all are well known about that. So without any explanation, I am going to leave this part. After that, here we have written, I have written some different way of formation of salt, means how strong acid, weak acid, a strong base, weak base, form different type of salt, different types of salt. So if you remember, HCl, as I have already told, HCl is a strong acid. NaOH, NaOH is a strong base. So strong acid and a strong base, they will give you neutral salt. Okay. Next one, sulfuric acid, strong acid. Already told. Zinc hydroxide, that is weak base or alkali. So strong acid and weak alkali. Strong acid and weak alkali give you acidic salt. So look here. Next one, H2CO3, carbonic acid, weak acid, sodium hydroxide, strong alkali. So weak acid, strong alkali, and strong alkali, uh, uh, a strong alkali. So it means base is strong, and that's why it is a basic salt. Look here, basic salts. After then, next one, uh, acetic acid, CH3COOH. Okay, CH3COOH. That is weak acid. You know that acetic acid is a weak acid. NH4OH, that is weak base. So weak acid and weak base gives you a neutral salt, as we have already discussed. Okay. If you see here, this is complete partial by the strong reaction between the strong base and weak acid. Sometimes this can be formed like NaHCO3, sodium bicarbonate, by partial replacement of H plus ion from an acid. Okay, partial bioune. For example, NaHCO3. So sodium bicarbonate. Actually, sodium bicarbonate is formed by partial replacement of H plus ion, because here will be H. यदि तिमीले सोडियम बाइकार्बोनेट पाएको भए यहाँ H पनि आउँथ्यो, NaHCO3. So H, if H is present there, it means that is acidic salt. So sodium bicarbonate is acidic salt. But if you dissolve in water, sodium bicarbonate, not sodium carbonate. This is sodium carbonate, okay? I'm telling about sodium bicarbonate. So if NaHCO3 is there, then that if you dissolve in water, in that case, it will form hydroxide radical, and that's why it will be a basic in nature. So sodium bicarbonate, we can say that acts as actually this is acidic salt, but when we dissolve it in water, it will have some property of base, or its pH value is more than 7, a bit more than 7, and so that's why it will form a basic salt. Before dissolving, acidic salt; after dissolving, basic salt. Some this is exceptional case, we can say. After then, indicator chart. So I think about if there is acidic salt or basic salt. If it is acidic salt, keep it in mind. Then it is formed by partial replacement of H plus ion. So there will be the salt. The salt contains some H plus ion. So obviously it will turn blue litmus paper to a bit red in color, slightly red. And if we have basic salt, in that case there is OH minus ion. So in that condition, if you are going to test, then it will give you if you take a red litmus paper into basic salt, then in that condition it will change into faint blue color, right? Red and blue ma banana तर एकदम लेस मात्रामा, खासै धेरै चेन्ज नलागिदिने. So we can use like that way also. Otherwise, usually salt, neutral salt, no change. Okay, here is shown here salt. Salt in general concept, salt means neutral salt. So there is no change. After then, usage of salt. So after sodium chloride, we all know that is edible salt. We used to consume it. Sodium carbonate, that is used to prepare glass. We learn in the chapter material used in daily life about glass, soap, and detergent. All these three in that chapter, and this is widely used in the preparation of glass. Sodium carbonate, or soft glass, quartz glass, or water glass. Sorry, soft glass, water glass not, quartz glass not, water glass, soft glass, and other glasses, those silicate glasses. For that, we used to use the sodium carbonate. After then, sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate is used in fire extinguisher. I thought that you have all. I have seen about this fire extinguisher. यो ठुलो ठुलो मलहरुमा तिमीले देखेको हुन सक्छौ, ठुलो एउटा कार्बन डाइअक्साइड बनाउनलाई एउटा सिलिन्डर हाले हुन्छ, अथवा इन्डस्ट्री उसमा पसलहरुमा पनि हाले हुन्छ यसले के गर्छ भने यदि कतै आगो लाग्यो भने निभाउनलाई काम गर्छ त्यसका अफिसरमा हुन्छन् सो दिस इज युज्ड फर फायर एक्सटिङ्ग्विसर अर्को त छ चाहिँ बेकिङ पाउडर बनाउनलाई युज भइगयो मेडिसिनमा युज त भइ नै गयो सिल्भर नाइट्रेट फर सिल्भर प्लेटिङ ल्याब रिएजेन्टमा युज हुने भयो कपर सल्फेट द्याट इज फ्युमिगेट फ्युमिगेट भनेको लिक्विड फर्ममा त्यसलाई चाहिँ युज गर्न फ्युम्सको फर्ममा युज गर्न मिल्यो त्यसैले यसलाई फ्युमिगेट भन्छ र यो चाहिँ इन्सेक्टिसाइड्सको रूपमा युज गर्छ साथसाथै इन कपर प्लेटिङ अल्सो यु नो अबाउट कपर प्लेटिङ टु फर्म अ थिन लेयर इन द कपर थिन लेयर अफ कपर अबर आइरन सो द्याट आइरन विल नट गेट रस्ट त्यसरी जसले चाहिँ आइरनमा गर्ने हो सो कपर प्लेटिङ गर्छ कपरमा के अरे अरू मेटेरियल्सहरूमा जसले गर्दाखेरि त्यसको लाइफ स्टाइल बढी बाँच्न सकोस् सिल्भर प्लेटिङ गरिदियो भने त्यस्तै कपर फलामको छ अथवा एल्युमिनियम छ त्यसमा सिल्भर प्लेटिङ गरिदियो भने अब चाँदी जस्तो देखियो मान्छेलाई त्यस्तो सुन गोल्ड प्लेटिङ गरिदियो नक्कली सुनको गाना पाउँछ जति पनि थाहा छँदैछ गोल्ड प्लेटिङ गरिदियो गोल्ड मेडल भन्छ त्यो प्लेट गरिदियो भने अब त्यो चाहिँ गोल्ड जस्तै देखिने सो फर द्याट युज एन्ड क्याल्सियम सल्फेट is used in chalk okay ammonium chloride that is used in dry cell मा तिमीहरूले पढिसकेका छौ क्लास 8 मै after that ammonium sulfate is used as chemical fertilizer okay so this much from my side and if you have any question you can ask we have 3 minutes to end this class so if you have any question related to this topic you can ask otherwise no problem I will post this I have already posted this one note as well as homework so you submit it on time and as I told you this is not the job of A1 A2 student only this is the job of C1 C2 also so all the class please submit the homework on time try to submit it don't feel agitation you'll find all the work in your copy notes so search from there and write the answer okay so do you have any question
No, sir.
okay so please go through the notes hey and then go do the homework and please don't oh I want to tell 2 things I forget that